Welcome to MKTV, I'm Michael K, and I know you're eager to get into this 2004 Acura, but before we do that, this is the first video on the channel, so I just want to tell you a little bit about the channel so you know what's going on, especially if you're not coming from my video game channel, Militia Gaming Community. All right, let's explain. Okay, back in the day, I modded my cars like crazy. I had a 1997 Kia Sophia. Just look that up when you get a chance. I don't have any photos of it because that was back before cell phones had cameras in them. I'm old, it's okay. But look that up on Google and tell me that's a car you should mod. It's not, but I did. I modded everything. I did headlights, I got taillights, I painted it. I had underglow, I had a spoiler put on. I painted the inside with a paintbrush. It was so silly. I did intake, exhaust, I did all kinds of things to that car. I even painted a racing stripe over the car with my hands. I did it with a paintbrush. Doesn't make any sense. But anyway, I modded cars like crazy when I was 16 and 17, and I kind of fell away from it because real life happened. I started working a career and I just didn't have time or the money to do it. But now that I'm in a solid position and I've built a YouTube channel around gaming, that's Militia Gaming Community, I am now ready to do this car modding thing. So if you're coming from Militia Gaming, welcome. Thank you very much for following me over. But if you're brand new and you don't know who I am, I built Militia Gaming Community based on modding cars in Need for Speed Heat, which is a racing video game, and now I just want to do it in real life. So here we are. Now this first video, we're going to be talking about all of the mods that I plan to do with this car. We're basically analyzing this 2004 Acura RSX Type-S that I've acquired, and we're gonna find out all of the little things that I wanna change, things that I wanna make look better, or simply just change because it's just not my style. So, without further ado, all right, let's get into the mod list. So we're gonna start with cosmetics. This 2004 Acura RSX is a complete Monet. And what I mean by that is it's very beautiful if you look back. If you step back and you just look at it from afar, it looks nice. It's got the body kit, it's got the front grille. It's not lowered and it has wheels on it, but it, you know, a little bit of wheel gap, but still it looks pretty good for what it is, right? Then you get up close and you start noticing the defects in the paint. There's little chips on the trunk lid and there's chips on the bumpers, and the bumpers themselves, whoever put them on, didn't match the paint. They tried to match it with like an AutoZone, you know, color match something, I don't even know, but it just really doesn't work. It doesn't look good. So there's little things that I need to do. And the first thing that came to mind was the paint. So painting this car is something that I want to get done eventually. It won't be the first mod, but it's definitely something we need to take care of. And another big thing that will make a huge difference visually is the tint. Every car needs tint on it. You need to have tint, especially here in California where it's always sunny. If you have tint on your car, it keeps the inside of the car a lot cooler. Not to mention, it just looks way better. So we're definitely going to be putting tint on this car. Next, we have to talk about the headlights of this car. They are in very rough shape. I mean, they're from 2004, so you would expect that a little bit, but they're cracked. They have a little bit of fogginess to them. They're not quite yellow per se, but they definitely have cracks on them. And the clear coat that goes over those headlights is actually falling apart. It's cracked and it's chipping and it just doesn't look good. So we are definitely replacing the headlights. And while we're talking about lights, we might as well move to the taillights. Now, there isn't necessarily anything real wrong with these taillights other than the fact that they just don't really look modified. Like, I just want to have it be modified. So we're definitely going to be changing the taillights as well. And then going into the interior, it actually looks pretty good. The only thing that I could say that really needs a lot of work is the steering wheel and the gear shift knob. And both of those things are high touch points. What I mean by that is you're always constantly touching that while you're driving the car. And so we have to replace those two things. Now the steering wheel might be a little bit tricky. I started doing some research, and replacing a steering wheel on a 2004 Acura is not something you can get from the dealer. That means we're gonna have to go aftermarket. And I know aftermarket steering wheels tend to look a little bit better in terms of modification, but I was really hoping to put a stock steering wheel back on this car, something that just was a little cleaner and not so beat up, because then we could keep the airbag and the cruise control. And that stuff is more safety and comfort oriented. I know there are little kits that you can buy that you can remount your cruise control, but it just doesn't seem like something I wanna do necessarily. I think I wanna have the stock steering wheel. That may may change if we can't find one. We're gonna maybe look around at some pickup parts or something like that to try to find a stock steering wheel. If I can't, I'll just go aftermarket and we're gonna relocate the cruise control using some of those mounts that you can buy. Now, the last cosmetic item that I wanna talk about is sort of a maybe thing. I don't know if I'm gonna do it or not, but I've seen these cars look absolutely insane with a spoiler or a wing on them. I just think that it might be a little bit outside of my budget. I'm not really sure, at least for the spoilers and the wings that I've been looking at. So I'm not really sure if I'm gonna do that. I'll mention it here because this is like the full walk around type video, but I don't know if I'm gonna do it. I have to look into it and see if I can fit one into the budget. If we can get one that looks really, really nice, we'll do it. All right, let's move into the performance side of things. So the first thing that we're gonna be changing, because I already bought them and they're sitting right here next to me that I'm not gonna show you on this video, it's gonna come up on the next one, is the wheels and tires. We're definitely going wheels and tires. We're also gonna be going suspension, which I have right over there. So the first couple of videos you obviously know are gonna be wheels, tires, and suspension, but those things are gonna help this car feel a lot better. It gets really shaky at about 60 miles per hour, and I think that's because the wheels that are on the car have little dents in them and they're not quite balanced, and the tires are kind of funky and small. And so we're going with wheels, tires, and suspension in these first couple of videos, and we're gonna notice a huge performance difference, a lot more grip, a lot more comfort as well, and a much better looking car as well once we can get it lowered. So after that, I think we'll talk about maybe a cold air or a short ram intake. Those are the two options when you go to modding this car. A lot of people go with a short ram because a cold air is kind of a pain in the butt to install. But I'll be honest, man, short rams just don't bring in enough cold air. And they're not really meant to do that. That's why you buy a cold air intake. But a short ram intake, it sits in a weird spot, sort of like almost behind where it routes it behind the engine. It's not gonna give you a performance bonus or boost for having that in there. Now, once you get it tuned, if you were to get it tuned, it does help a little bit, but a cold air intake brings cold air into the engine and that helps it run better, and thus you get a better performance boost from it. So I haven't decided which way I want to go. It really just depends on pricing and what we can do, but we'll decide that on a later video. And the last couple of items I want to talk about are the exhaust. We definitely need an exhaust on this car. I'm thinking because I'm in California, catalytic converters are extremely expensive, and getting your car to pass smog is very difficult, just particularly in this state. And I think it will be changing in other states as well. But in our state, it's very hard to get a car to pass smog, and the catalytic converters of the old are not passing, and you have to replace them with more restrictive catalytic converters, which are really expensive. I mean, we're talking like over $1,000 for a catalytic converter. So that being said, for the exhaust, I might be skipping the performance part of the exhaust, which would be to do like a header and then a full exhaust all the way back. We might just start at the cat, replace the piping with a little bit bigger piping, a nicer muffler, and something that sounds good. And that maybe puts that in the category of cosmetic or something, but it's definitely something that I want to do. We need to have this car louder. It's very quiet and it just doesn't feel like a street tuned car. So we're gonna do an exhaust, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna stick to just a cat back exhaust. And lastly, after driving it, I'm not really sure if I wanna replace the clutch. I might upgrade the clutch a little bit. It feels a little bit spongy and it releases really high at the top, which is okay. It just doesn't feel sporty. So I might replace the clutch with something a little bit nicer. And one last mod that is still a maybe at this point, and that is there's a software called K-Tuned. This is something that a lot of Hondas and Acuras use. A lot of people have mod their cars. They use K-Tuned because it allows them to download different tunes and then put them on the car and still have the ability to re-flash the car back to stock. So if they ever have to go and get it smogged or something like that, they can re-flash it back to stock and not have to worry about it. It's a little monitor that sits on your dash. It stores the tunes in there. It's plugged into your OBD2 and you can just select your tune that you want. Now, of course, you have to pay for those tunes that come from professional tuners, but that's a whole nother can of worms. So this is a maybe. Again, like the wing, it's kind of a maybe for me. I still haven't decided whether I want to go that far with it, but we might get there and decide let's do it. So I don't know. Anyway, that's it for this one, guys. I really appreciate you watching this video. If you're new to me and you didn't come from my video game channel, then welcome, and stick around if you really want to see the progress on this car. We're going to be moving as fast as we possibly can. I hope to put out videos every couple of weeks to give you an update on each mod that we put on. So the next video will be wheels, and then after that, suspension. So stick around, guys. We're gonna be doing a lot of things. And if you have any questions about anything, guys, you can always send me a DM on Instagram. I have that linked in the description down below. All right, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. I'm out.